So this is the new REI Quarterdome 1, and this is my first time using this tent. I like it. I had a storm yesterday, so I really got to see how it held up, and it did pretty good. There was no rain leakage. I wouldn't call it a heavy rain. I would call it a moderate rain that lasted for about 2 hours. But there was some severe wind that came through, and it held up really well. It's an odd shape, which you can't really tell right now as far as the poles because I have the fly on. So let's see if I can point this out here. That one goes up and over to the back. There's a pole here that comes over, and it only extends to here. It doesn't continue down. So it has 3 contact points. So the wind was really pushing on that contact point quite a bit. It was blowing it down. I don't know that I needed it or not, but I took my trekking pole and it's got a really, what do you want to call it? Secured. There's a lot of extra fabric in that corner because it points there. So I was able to put the end of my trekking pole up in there and give it a little extra support. It probably would have been fine on its own, but it made me feel better. It does have a lot of stakeout points, and it does need to be very securely staked out. If I was to say one negative thing about this tent, it would be that it can't even be semi freestanding. You really have to stake it out. It didn't come with enough. It came with, I think, 8 stakes, and I have it staked out in 10 areas. And I'm really glad I did, because I would have had trouble yesterday in the wind if I had not. In fact, I ended up using on this guy line right here. This is actually just supposed to be the little clip holder, so if I open the fly, that it will roll up into that. It's not actually a guy out point. But I used it as such because that's the side where it has that angled, that one piece right there, and it doesn't continue down, it just stops there. So I would say it's on par. The tent that I had before was the Big Agnes Seed House 1. And the reason I didn't like that tent was I did not like the front entry vestibule. This has a side entry vestibule, and it's much easier to gain access in and out of. The other one you have to kind of crawl out on your hands and knees in the dirt and turn around. This one I can kind of sit on my bottom and then stick my head through and stand up. So I much prefer that. It does have this little window vent thingy here. I don't know how necessary that is or not, but it's there. It's got a little Velcro, and there's I don't know if you can see in there, but the mesh has a zipper inside, so you can put this up or down from the inside. If you're in there and it's raining, you can open or close that if you'd like. At first, it really bothered me when I set it up in my yard at home. I wasn't sure if I liked it. It is not symmetrical, and it really sort of bothered me. But there's definitely a lot more headroom if I want to sit up Indian style. I can sit, with my legs out. There's a lot more headroom. So if you are stuck in the rain for an extended period of time, you do have a little more room to move around. Here comes my marmot again. Anyways, back to my story. Yeah, there's a lot. It seems like there's just a little more headroom, so you can sit in more configurations if you're stuck in there for long periods of time. So I do like it. Let me show you the inside. I do find that it's similar inside, floor space wise, as the Big Agnes Seed House 1. Sorry, I'm trying to open the thing. Okay, so inside it is slightly tapered towards the feet. So I have, for my sleeping pad, I have the REI Airrail 1.5. It's a 23-inch wide air mattress. So typical air mattresses are usually standard size, are usually 20 inches wide. It's got a little pocket up there. I've got all my junk in there. I've got room above the top of the mattress for my clothes bag and cameras and e-reader and some things down there. And so the other thing, and it has to do with stake, when I was just saying that the one thing I didn't like was that you had to stake it out quite a bit. The other thing that I don't like is that there's actually one missing. It would be really nice if there was one more stake loop here to hold this one out, because that corner is just staked out. There's no pole holding it. And so this wall tends to be a little looser, and I just, you know, it's fine. No rain came in, but mentally, I just like my tent to be really staked out. So that would be a recommendation, if they could put one more loop on there if you wanted to stake that out. But that's my initial review of this tent. I do like it. It stood up well in wind, and it did not leak. Ooh, I hear people. Maybe I'll have some visitors. Which this is totally not the point of my hike. Oh, there they are. People! I wonder if that's my neighbors coming back. They left their campsite and are out for a walk. That's their campsite down there. So that might be them coming back, or that might be other hikers. I chose not to continue on to Bear Paw Meadow because the weather we're having is just really cloudy and kind of dark and chilly winds, and after that mini storm that we had that lasted 2 hours yesterday, I did not want to be out caught hiking in one of those or trying to set up my camp in that weather. So I decided to stay at camp and do some gear reviews and lay out in the sun, what little sun there is, and read my book and relax. I'm getting totally off topic of my gear review. I might have to split this video in half. Yeah, and then yesterday, I don't know if you can see down there. Down there is the creek, and it's quite a steep climb down there. And so I was trying to avoid going through the neighbor's campsite just to be polite. And so I went down this steep route, and I ended up dropping my water bottle, and it rolled all the way down the hill into the creek, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to go home now. But it eventually got caught on some sticks, so we're at a place where I was able to retrieve it, so that was good. And then those rocks there are so slippery. So I was sitting on my butt, and I leaned forward. I was trying to kind of spider crawl over to get close to the water, and I don't even know where my camera, I'm just talking and the camera's pointing all over the place. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, anyways, I ended up semi-twisting my ankle while I was sitting down because I slid down and it tweaked my knee and my hip. So I have one Motrin left, so I'll have to take that in the morning to get me through the hike home. It's kind of tweaked. Yeah, so I figured I definitely didn't want to aggravate that and hike an additional 12 miles. And I thought the 12-mile hike home tomorrow would be a little rough. So anyways, always keep my plans and options open. And that's about it.